So, this is about a woman that was a great grandmother, a great wife to two good men. One was my dad, one was my stepfather, Gene, which he's in this picture with their grandkids on my mom's side. Anyhow, I just want to talk about this woman that just passed away recently and how wonderful she is. So as I start the clip, I'll give you about 10 seconds for each photo, but I just want to tell you how fantastic this woman was. So here she is back in the 70s with me and my sister. And she was a bank manager. Right here, if I just pause it a little bit, this is my dad's side of the family. So you can see my Auntie Ann on the left, standing up. Then there's my mom, Chestine, my dad, Al, his brother, my uncle, Richard, and then that's his mother, my dad's mom, and my grandfather. Grandfather's name was Nicholas. So anyhow, that's his side of the family. They were looking to adopt for a long time, and they adopted two children, me and my sister Julie. They were married for about 16 years until she met this man, and she was married to Dean Elwood Lang for, I think, close to 48 years. So she's had two marriages. The second one was her favorite, of course, but with these two, after my dad passed away, have helped out our families quite a bit. And I just want to stress that they were just fantastic. As we scroll with the pictures, here's an earlier shot when they were a little bit younger. I think they just moved into their house in Arizona. And this right here is on my mother's side of the family. So the woman on the left is Minnie Lee Harrell. And then this is Ernest Bales, her husband. And as marriages go, they don't last. So my grandmother raised three kids by herself with a little support from her ex, but she was the favorite. She was the nurse for a doctor for many years and became a school nurse. And when she passed away, just about the whole town knew who she was and attended the ceremony for her funeral. But she was a wonderful lady. They both died in their mid-60s. They had heart problems. But if we go back here, this is me. And a little bit story behind here. They were looking to adopt. She tried. She couldn't have any kids on her own. So there was no abortion at that time in 57. So my birth mother flew from LA to Washington State, gave birth to me, and the hospital, or the I guess the I don't know what you would call it, Child Protective Services, or even the adoption agency contacted my parents, and for a trial basis, they would see how I would get on with them. So it'd be about, 3 to 6 month trial. Anyway, they arrived at the hospital. She held me, and then the head nurse came by and he says, Mrs. Brander, are you willing to take this boy home with you today? And she says, well, we haven't bought anything. It was just a test trial. And so what I was informed, what she told me in the story was, well, he's yours now if you want him. So she had no furniture, no clothes for me. The head nurse sent 2 of her nurses to help Mom shop. And when everything was done, they picked me up, took me to Spokane, Washington with furniture, and the rest is history. So I'll continue on with this little story. So as you can see, back in the 60s, I had asthma when I was young. And as you can see, almost 66 years old. I'm still alive. But they were wonderful parents, very loving parents, normal parents. And this is a shot that kind of reminds me about the early 60s. We just came back from Italy, living there for 3 years. We spoke Italian, my sister and I. But look at the hat my mom is wearing. I mean, it's just incredible. And then there, of course, my dad, his hair is kind of thinning out by then. He was enlisted. Then he went through OCS and became an officer. And he retired a major. And of course, as marriages go, it didn't last. But while they were with us, they were still loving parents. She met this young man right here, and he was almost 98 when he passed away. And he passed away a year ago, or over a year ago. He had Alzheimer's, and many times when Mom fell, she had to go to rehab. But at that time, he was having a problem with Alzheimer's. So fortunately, my stepsister Naomi was there visiting. When Mom fell, she stayed with Dean until I arrived, and then she had to go back home in Colorado. But I stayed for 2 weeks until my mom got out of rehab. And Dean was always asking, "Where's Mom? Where's Mom?" So I remember the movie First 50 Dates, I believe, with Drew Barrymore, and I forget who the male actor was. But anyway, I did a little picture where he visited her, and he talked to her, and then we said goodbye, and I took some pictures. And when he always asked where Mom was, I says, well, she'll be home in 2 days, but you saw her today. I kind of fibbed a little bit, but I would show him the video. And he says, oh, okay, she's doing okay, good. So that was the love of her life right there, Dean E. Lang. He was the, tell you a little bit backstory of him. He was a POW shot down over France in World War II. He was born in North Dakota, Fairmont. He volunteered for World War II, was a training instructor. Then he flew missions over, shot down. I think he broke an arm. The Russians freed him after he was in the Stalag for, I don't know, I can't remember how long, but there are stories about his adventures. And the Russians were going to march all the freed prisoners down to the Black Sea and put them on a ship for England. And the RAF said, in nice terms, no, we'll take care of it. So they flew in, picked up everybody, and flew him back to England. He became one of the first officers that looked at the concentration camps and reported about that. And then he was also a liaison officer for different countries, training them how to fly airplanes. So there were the Army Air Corps back then, and then they became the Air Force. He retired, I think, around 65, 66 as a major. And he was a wonderful man. Very quiet, silent. He would get angry, but then get over it. You know, he made his point, and that's what I loved about him. He was just a wonderful individual, and I'll miss him. In fact, I'll miss both of them. So my mom raised the two of us by herself until she met Dean. And this picture is back in the 60s. I believe just before, she might have been in Italy back then. Either that or in New Jersey, you know, after we left Italy. But as you can see, she was a very good-looking woman, very intelligent. She was a bank manager. Little story on that. She worked for Colorado National Bank. She taught 3 men under her who became her bosses, her superiors, how to do the work. And finally, she was going to quit, but the bank didn't want to lose her, so they promoted her as bank manager. And she was so well at that they're going to move her up to the main building in Denver. She worked at the Lowry Air Force Base back then when it was still open. But by then she was married to Dean and decided to retire. And then her second life started after that. So here's some pictures of her when she was in high school. She was a good looker. She could ride horses. She played in a band. She played the trumpet. And she was with I think, the Cleveland Pirates. That was her high school. But here's some beautiful pics of her. And this picture, last of all, I found in a drawer. And I cannot understand why. It should have been out all the time. I've never seen this picture until she passed away. So, Mom, I just want to say, I love you very much. I miss you. And I will meet you later. And I love you always. Bye.